Hi YouTube, it's Kathy and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for July 23rd through 29th. This week I read 3 books, I watched 2 shows, I watched 1 comedy special, and I listened to 1 book. First this week I finished Imogen, obviously, by Becky Albertalli, and I absolutely loved this, and a lot of this hit me real hard. As a person who didn't really realize how queer she was until she was in her 30s, yeah, this hit in a very specific way. Because people will often be like, how could you have not known? And it's like, well, I just didn't figure it out yet. Why are you bullying me about this? And the titular character in this book is going through something very, very similar. Essentially, she is visiting her best friend at university, at the same university she's going to be attending when she graduates in a few months. And over the previous summer, that friend actually came out as queer and has a lot of queer friends at university. However, you come to find out that she told a little bit of a lie that actually affects Imogen. So when she gets there, she has to come clean about it and then figure out whether or not they're going to continue this lie and maybe how that's going to color people's visions of certain people in this book. I don't want to give too much of that away because I didn't know anything about it going into it, and I had a really good time with it. So I'm hoping I can preserve that and you can also have an excellent time with it because I think you should read this book. This definitely had me in my bi and gray ace and demi feelings. Another book I finished this week is Breathe Like a Badass. This is a book about mindfulness and meditation, and it might be a really good primer for the subject, but it mostly read like quotes from other people about meditation. I was reading this as part of a series of books that I'm reading for the 75 Hard Challenge, otherwise I probably wouldn't have picked it up, although I was kind of interested. I was like, if meditation is something that can make me feel better overall, sure, why not? I'll at least read a book about it. But I wasn't really sold on exactly how I should be meditating or whether or not it's something I will actually incorporate into my lifestyle. I also fortunately finished Any Other City. This is billed as a fictional memoir about a musician and it's in 2 parts. The first part is when she is about 20 years old and she's writing both of these parts to women that she's been dating. And it never really says what city she's from and what city she's visiting, but I've pictured them as Vancouver, Canada and Paris, France. And I have to say Paris, France because there's a Paris in Canada and that would have been confusing for anyone who knew that. And yes, I'm aware there's other Parises as well, but because I just said Vancouver, Canada, I figured the syntax of the sentence meant that I should probably say France. Anyway, when she's 20, she goes to France and she's writing all these letters and writing this part of the memoir to her girlfriend back home, and all of these things happen, and she falls in with a clutch of trans girls and a lot of gender things come up for her. However, it's not until many, many years later that she actually realizes she's trans and transitions, so when we get to the B side of this, it's I believe about 20 or 30 years later, I can't remember the exact time frame, and she's back in the other city, Any Other City, because she doesn't want to be in the same city as her most recent ex, and we're getting this new perspective. Now, when I saw a fictional memoir of a musician, I was thinking something along the lines of Daisy Jones and the Six, or I was thinking something along the lines of Opal and Nev, or the final revival of Opal and Nev, as the book is actually called. But what I got instead of a lot of stuff to do with being a musician is a lot of stuff to do with visual artists, and then also way more sexual content than I was anticipating. And that's totally fine. If that's your thing, I'm very happy for you, but I was not anticipating it, and I was not anticipating basically watching a Fisting 101 class on the page, so know that going in because there's nothing in the blurb about it. This was an interesting premise and interesting style, I just don't think that it actually matched up to what I thought I was getting based on the blurb. And by blurb, I mean synopsis. As for what I watched this week, we watched the first episode of the 8th season of Futurama, which is the reboot episode, which if you ever watch this season in the future, you'll have to know that going into this episode. Otherwise, all of the humor around reboots and shows that get cancelled and come back won't make as much sense. This one was kind of fun. I never actually finished watching Futurama, so I didn't really know where it left off, but it's something Chad really wanted to watch, and it's something that's going to be updating every Monday until they do these 10 episodes, so I'll probably watch it with him. The other show I watched this week was all 10 episodes of hopefully the first season, and I say hopefully because I want there to be more seasons, of Glamorous. My best friend sent me the trailer for this and it just looked adorable, and when I visited her the other day, we just ended up watching the entire season. Glamorous is about a makeup artist who works at a makeup counter in the mall, and one day the person that actually owns the brand of Marco's favorite makeup comes in, they connect, and Marco ends up working for her. This show is incredibly cheesy and very predictable at points, but it's also incredibly queer and very endearing, and you get to really enjoy the characters, and you want to know what's going to be happening, and you want to know who's going to get with who, and you have definite opinions about who Marco should be dating, and it was just absolutely delightful. Like I said, I'm really hoping that there's going to be at least another season, especially because of what happens at the very end of the season, which is something I didn't know about, so I'm trying to be intentionally vague, but there's a certain actress involved and I'm very excited for her. I feel like that was very, very, very vague, but if you've seen the season and you can figure out what I'm talking about, let me know about it down in the comments below. The comedy special I watched this week was Devine, The Best Years of Your Life. I saw a small snippet of this in one of those little short things that Netflix will put out, and it was about him auditioning for Pitch Perfect thinking it was a baseball movie, and unfortunately that was kind of the best part of this comedy special. I didn't think it was really all that great. Like, there were points where I laughed, but there were also points where I was just like, this humor just isn't really for me. Also, he's one of those comics that has this thing where when he's done a joke and I guess he's, you know, not sure what to do next while he's waiting for people to laugh or not, he has this thing where he has a certain word that he says to kind of invalidate what he was just talking about, and unfortunately it's an ableist word, so hearing that over and over and over again wasn't my favorite choice. So like I said, there were some laughs in here, but overall I don't think it was for me. As for the audiobook I listened to this week, it's called I Have Some Questions for You. This is about a woman who went to this boarding school when she was younger, and in 1995, which was her senior year, somebody she used to be a roommate with actually died. Now she's all grown up, she has a husband, soon to be ex-husband, a couple of kids, she has a really popular podcast that she runs, and she's doing this thing called Mini-Mester, where she actually goes back to this college and teaches a couple of classes just for a couple of weeks. One of the classes she's teaching is on podcasting, because that's what she does professionally, and one is on film history, which is something she has studied. When she's there teaching her podcasting, she's basically getting them to do a podcast that they can do kind of local to the area, just anything where they can actually interview people in the area for it, and one of her students actually starts looking into the death of Thalia, the person who she used to be a roommate with, and how she doesn't think the person they put in jail did it. This is a mystery that completely overtakes our main character's life, and she definitely has some suspicions as to who might have actually committed this crime, and the whole perspective of this is her actually talking to somebody she suspects who definitely isn't the person that is in jail for it. As we know, I'm on a true crime kick, so this was right up my alley. This was full of some twists and some turns, and I just really, really enjoyed seeing the intricacies of what was happening both in her life and with the case and all of those things. If you have any recommendations for me that are similar to this book, please let me know, because I would love to read them. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. If you don't feel like leaving a comment but want to make sure that I know you were here, just leave me an emoji or a smiley face if you happen to be on your keyboard. Some people have asked if there's a way to financially support this channel, so I set up a Ko-Fi account, which is a digital tipping service. The link for that, as always, is down below. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!